Today is April 17th. The Pirates split a 4-game series in St. Louis, including 2 10-inning games. Let's break down the series and talk about the starting pitching as of late. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
How we doing, sir?
Doing well. A little sunburnt.
Yeah?
Yep. Got the old lipstick on today.
Get out there and play some ball.
Yeah, but it's weird. You put on sunscreen, and the lips seem to always be one of the last things. I don't think about them.
Yeah,
and so they get burnt, and now like this, it looks like I have lipstick on. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to be like, really, dude? But if not, you could just pretend I didn't say that, and everything's normal. I fall under the, I got red hair, but I fall under the myth of a hot shower. Like after a sunburn, the really, really like as hot as you can stand it shower. And people think I'm crazy for it, but I think it makes it feel better. It doesn't help it heal in the slightest. So anything that you read on it is going to be like, it's a myth. It's not for the healing process. It is because when I get out, I feel better.
Yeah.
And then I take cool showers.
I usually don't vary my temperature in my showers, no matter what the situation.
Yeah.
I come in from sweating and cutting grass and everything, and I still take a hot shower. Like, it's just what I do. Okay. I hate cold water. Can't stand it.
Okay.
So,
well,
that's that.
That's that. We talked about that, and everybody's really happy that that's the conversation we started with.
Everybody wanted to know about our showers.
So the Pirates split us.
At least we're clean.
We are, yeah.
At least we're clean.
Okay, here we go. Pirates split a series with the Cardinals, and I tweeted this out before today's loss, or after today's loss. If you'd have told me Thursday morning that we would go to St. Louis and split a series, I'd have been happy. But about 20 minutes before the game was over, I thought, we have to win this game.
Yeah.
We're in the position right now to win this game. It has to be won. And so you're really devastated at a 2-game split or a 4-game split. But it was like, okay, let's calm down. Let's take a step back. This is fine. Yeah. This is what you want to do. In any, like, if you're a good team, you go on the road for a 4-game series, you'd like a split. Anything better is bonus. So I'm not going to say this was a failure. This is okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to break down the games. We're going to talk about what happened. We got some player updates, obviously, to talk about, get into some transactions, and starting pitching is definitely on the things that we're going to talk about. That has been a strength. But a 4-game series, so a lot to get into. Let's start off with transactions.
All right.
So we've got, because we had quite a few, 4 different, like specifically different. So 8 different players involved. Chase DeYoung goes to the injured list. Robert Stevenson activated from the injured list. Heineman went to Indy for Hedges to be activated. That's kind of a sneaky one. A lot of people, myself included, who I wasn't even thinking about it. I think we probably talked about it this offseason. That doesn't mean I remembered that. But Heineman actually does have options. So he's just on the 40-man, and we sent him down. So he's available to come back up. It's not a DFA situation by any stretch. I think Delay even has an option. So it could have been either. But anyway, Hedges activated. The next day, G-Man Choi goes to the injured list. And Marcano was recalled, which was kind of interesting because we thought, well, Marcano should have been recalled anyway. And Matthias was.
Yeah.
But now okay, if one other man's got to go down, Marcano's the one that's earned the call up.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, because of Saturday's game, Robert Zastryzny goes to the injured list, and Johan Ramirez was recalled. So, is there anyone left on the 40-man roster? I should have pulled up the roster. I can pull it up real quick. But is there anyone left now on that 40-man that's not here? Are we all injured in here? No, we still got Yuri De Los Santos. Mike Burrows is listed, but we know that that's going to be a long-time thing. On Colin Selby. Oh, and Eli, the guy that we claimed off waivers. Eli.
Yeah.
Villalobos. I'm going to go with Villalobos. I haven't looked it up yet, so I apologize if that's wrong. I always look them up to make sure. I haven't looked him up yet. So we do have a couple. Obviously Luis Ortiz, but I'm not talking about, I said Burrows, but Luis Ortiz as well, but that's not a reliever. But, okay, so, yeah, those are our moves.
Yeah. Just to say it, Tucapita has been tearing up AAA.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see him in Pittsburgh.
Yep,
He's
sure.
batting over 400, just lighting it up down there, and that's what you want. The guy didn't crack the opening day roster. Go down there with a fire and say, "Yeah, you didn't want me, but watch this.
Be better."
Yep,
that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we go into the games, Thursday we get the dub. Connor Joe, Rodolfo Castro hit their first homers of the year. Kutch, Santana hit 2 doubles. Kutch hit a double. Hayes hit a double. And it was the continuation of the starting pitching being good, which we're going to talk about later. But Vince Velasquez had his first really good outing. 6 innings of shutout baseball, 6 strikeouts, a couple walks. And the bullpen was great too. We shut out St. Louis in the first game, 5-0. And let me see. That's really it. I mean, this game was Joe and Castro back to back?
Yeah,
the same inning. They were back to back. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Joe had a couple hits in that one, and we said Santana had the 2 doubles. Those were his 2 hits. So that's kind of it for that win. It was a really one-sided matchup. Jordan Montgomery was the pitcher that I was most nervous about. Most nervous about coming into the series, and he was all right still. It was mostly against the bullpen in the 8th, but then the loss Friday where the script was completely flipped. It was all St. Louis. Well, I say it was all St. Louis. It really wasn't either.
Mm-mm.
It was a 3-0 game. We got shut out, but they didn't do much either. They had 1 extra base hit. Donovan hit a double. Gorman got the 2 RBIs, and Contreras got 1. But Arenado was 3 for 3. I mean, he's Arenado still, but the Pirates, interestingly enough, everybody but 1 got a hit, and only 1 hit. And likewise, everyone but 1 got struck out, and nobody struck out more than once. So, for the record, it was Connor Joe without a hit and Andrew McCutchen without a strikeout. So, kind of one of those weird nights where everyone was okay, but it doesn't just
never okay at the same time.
Sure. But the story of that for the Pirates side of things was Johan Oviedo with his best start, just kept us in the game all the way through. Really incredible start. 7 innings, 1 run, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts, including, am I right in this? He struck out the side in the 7th, right? I believe so.
I think he did, yeah.
Or am I thinking of Contreras on Saturday? And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then we decided to throw Underwood in the 8th inning. 3 hits, 1 walk. He did get 1 strikeout. That was the only out he got. But he gave up 2 runs. And listen, Underwood hasn't been bad, but you cannot keep putting him in games in the 8th inning. He will be a good pitcher for us if you just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what, it's his career, dude. Like, these are career numbers. He is historically bad in the 8th inning. Maybe it's just like a bugaboo, a little, who knows what you call it. But he struggles. Just stop putting him in that position.
Yeah.
Anyway, Robert Stevenson gets his first action this season and gets out of that inning. So we move on to Saturday. This was the exciting one. They get the win. Ke'Bryan Hayes starts with a leadoff homer. You get a good outing from Roanzi where he came off a really bad one where control was the problem. He still walked 3, but he seemed to get through it a lot better. He got through 6, 2 runs. Hayes crushed that homer, by the way. Castro tied it in the 8th with his hit, and then it went into extras after Holderman and Bednar did their thing in the 8th and 9th. More on this later, but looks like we had the Kutch leadoff homer, leadoff 2-run homer, first one by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't happen ever.
Right.
But works that it did, so whatever. And then ended up still getting one more run and winning 6-3. With Moreta getting him. Greg Brown, you're killing me, dude. You're the only person on the planet that says Moreta, and it gets me to say Moreta because I have to listen to it so much. Moreta. Gets the save. First one with the Pirates. Second save of his career. Then we dropped the game today where we looked like we were in position to win it. Got our run in the 10th. And then it got away from Will Crow in the bottom. So Mitch Keller, great start, another quality start. Kind of like not great for him, which is a good thing to say.
Yeah.
That he still ends up with a quality start.
Mm-hmm.
How can you be mad? He gave up a 2-run homer in the 6th inning.
Right.
Like he was that close. Was there? I think it was 2 outs, right?
Yeah.
This is just 1. 2 outs?
No, there was 2 outs.
So almost there. Hayes led off that game with a triple. Sawinski a double and a single in this game. Arenado was talked about way too much by Joe Block, but since we're done with the series, it's worth noting he was very good this entire series. Andrew McCutchen in particular had a ton of hits taken away from him. 2 more today. Has a great series if he's not playing third.
Yeah.
If any average third baseman is playing third, Kutch has a great series.
Mm-hmm.
He shined. There was a series last year where he did not shine against the Pirates, and Ke'Bryan did. He made several really good plays, and it was the same sort of thing where it looked like they were frustrated that Ke'Bryan was making those plays.
Yeah.
And we made a note of it, so I think it's only fair that we make a note of it happening the other way around. Not that Key had a bad series by any stretch, but the fact that we made a note that Arenado did not have a great series defensively. He made 2 errors in that series. I think it's fair to make a note that he was spectacular in this series.
I want to talk about one play of his, and it's going to be one that no one else talks about, almost guarantee. I forget who hit the double. They hit a double down the third base line. Ball comes in, not a good shot to get the runner, so obviously the third baseman's going to cut it off. Arenado just freaking barehands it and throws the second. Like, you just barehanded a cutoff. Like,
I think
seriously?
I do remember that.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
But that's enough.
That's just one of the things, right?
Yeah.
He really, that's fine. And he also hit.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that was it. That's all we're going to talk about Arenado because Joe Block did enough.
Sure.
Once again, I think it's worth Joe Block saying it. He just didn't have to say it every inning for the first 4 innings.
What about our pitching staff holding Jordan Walker, who's been absolutely on fire Is he 1 for 14 in the series?
Yeah, Jordan Walker, a hit in his first 12 major league games coming into this. And we shut him down 0 for 4. And then he sat a game. Played Saturday, went 0 for 4 again. Went 1 for 5 today. So, yeah. And a big strikeout late in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the intentional walk to get to him.
Yeah. He does not look 20, by the way.
No.
Like, his face tells me he's 32. Like, when you look at it, because, you know, when you look at, like, go look at a picture of McCutchen when he broke into the league, which he wasn't 20, right? And he looks like a young player, especially looking back. I don't know what Jordan Walker is going to look like when he's McCutchen's age, but it might be something like what Julio Franco looks like today. He just doesn't look young. He doesn't have a baby face by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
The guy looks like a grown man.
Yeah. And that's not saying his looks carry you, but I mean his body, his whole body, like his features are just not of a 20-year-old, and that's how you make it to the bigs by the time you're 20.
That's true. That's true. Okay, enough on that. I don't know why I think the things that I do sometimes. But, you know, that's how it works. Yeah, so pitching in general, starting pitching, we're going to talk about this. Actually, let's just go right into it. 5 straight starts with 6 or more innings, only 2 runs given up by this starting pitching. That was busted today, but not
really busted.
It's still 6 straight quality starts.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about the whole 2 runs. Let's just start this one. 6 straight quality starts by our starting pitching, which is more than one time through the rotation. If they can continue this, I feel pretty good about the Colorado series. And then we go to Cincinnati. We talked about this being a long stretch of games. We are now through the Cardinals series, which means we're through the tough part of it. What's tough from here out is the fact that we're still playing every day.
Yeah.
But we're out of the hard stretch. We're out of the White Sox, Astros, Cardinals. Now it's Rockies, Reds. 7 days, 7 games. You get a break after this. And we're talking about the teams that we should be winning. Now, we have 3 in Colorado, and then we have 4 at home against the Reds before a day off. And then you have the Dodgers coming to town. So, you know, right now we're only going to, we're going to get into the Rockies and everything, but it's the idea that, like, your starting pitching is good right now. If this can ride through the next week, you're going to end up with a pretty good April. Yeah. I didn't think we'd say this at the end of April, Jake.
No, I didn't either. It's been a very pleasant surprise.
And the team's not like, we're not like lighting the world on fire right now.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? Like, we're playing good baseball. We're still we're 9-7. This could flip upside down at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I like going into these 7 games at 9-7.
Yeah.
So
I worry a little bit about the quality start streak, just because you're going to be in Colorado. But
that's fair. Yep. Does that change in the 7th? I don't think so. I think it's 6-3. That's it.
Yeah.
So whether it's 7-3 or anything like that, I don't think it matters. So, but the starting pitching has been really good. I mean, these lines all the way through. I mean, we just talked about the ones here. Velasquez went 6-0 runs. Oviedo 7-1 run. Contreras 6-2, and then Keller 6-3. But even before that, you had the Keller start and the Rich Hill start.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if they can ride that, the bullpen hasn't been anything that's been awful. Holderman and Bednar are doing their thing. Underwood outside of the 8th inning has been decent. Will Crow doesn't get used very much. Strisny's now hurt, but Jose Hernandez hasn't been bad. Moretta's been very good, I would say, in comparison to what you would probably expect at this point in the season. So, you win games by pitching. It looks like they're doing that. There's been some guys that have been good and some guys that are bad at the plate. But overall, they're playing good baseball right now. And if your starting pitching can get you in every single game, then, let's wake the bats up a little bit. Let's get some guys moving.
Yeah.
Key Brian Hayes, for one, needs to get moving. Brian Reynolds needs to get moving again.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, somebody step up. On the side of guys who are stepping up, Rodolfo Castro has been hot. He's ever since the O'Neill injury, he's been on base every game. Some of those games, 2 and 3 hits. Finally got into the home run category this series, but he's had a little bit of luck, but he's also just had really good at bats. He's fought off tough pitches, and when you do that sort of thing, hits are going to fall.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd be silly. I mean, and I know it's very hard to ever talk about Rodolfo Castro without talking about G1 Bay, or talk about G1 Bay without talking about Rodolfo Castro. Because if everybody's here and everybody's good, they're competing for second base at their natural position. And I know that Bay can play some center field, and I know that Castro can fill in at short and third, and Bay at short as well. But for their starting position, they're competing.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard not to talk about it. Bay was that early on. I mean, we saw that. Like, he's been that great in this game, and then nothing until the next time he's great.
Right.
But he's had those flashes of great. And sometimes it's like, well, if you got a guy who's just like meh and a guy who's great every once in a while, you start the guy who's great every once in a while. You know what I mean? But like Bay got lucky a few times with a couple of his hits, and you know what I'm saying? And so like when you are going good, that happens. And that's happened, just with a couple of the bloop hits that Castro has gotten. They've fallen where guys can't get to them.
Right.
But that's got to happen, right? This is baseball. He also probably hits it on the screws, 3 times and gets out. So, you talk about it, the baseball thing, it evens itself out kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not always true, but that's something that you say in baseball. Line drive in the box score, right? One of those things.
Yep.
But Castro's been heating up. Let's make sure I'm on the last one here. We're looking at a 333 average, 442 on base. That's, I mean, for what we saw at the beginning of the season when he wasn't playing every day, and we kind of said, man, this guy needs to see more plate appearances, and then he gets a chance to see more plate appearances. He's certainly making the best of it. He was actually starting to make the best of it before that.
Mm-hmm.
But now he really is.
Yeah. He's seeing the ball well. He's both sides of the plate. He's starting to hit well. So
yeah, and against lefties, obviously that's been the thing for him. He's been good against lefties, but hitting, I always think it's funny when you say but hitting left-handed, he struggles. And I don't think about that because I have all of these thoughts in my head of like, no, man, all of his home run swings, I see them all left-handed. But I went back and looked, and I was like, yeah, he had 5 of them left-handed and 6 of them right-handed, and way less at bats.
Yeah,
he really does thump lefties, and I hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah,
but
I didn't either.
But on the same sense, not quite as much success, but on the same sense, Jack Sawinski.
Yeah, I thought he's looked really good lately. I saw was it? Wow, the starter Mikolas. He threw him a very tough curveball. Started about chest high and dropped out of the zone low on 2 strikes, and he just spit on it like it was nothing. Like he's not chasing.
He really is not chasing. And he hasn't been chasing all year. And we talked about that possibly being his problem. Not chasing, but a lack of aggression. And I just pulled up his page here. 94th percentile in chase rate. But his whiff percentage is still in the 8th. Like, he's still swinging and missing. His barrel rate's high. His hard hit rate is high. Average exit velocity's high. All the things that you would expect. His walk percentage is even up to the 70th, which you can tell there's something very specific that Jack Sawinski's trying to do. Open up your stance. Get both eyes on the ball. Vision has been very important. I do not want to chase. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's not that he chased a ton last year either, but it's one of those things where you can actually, geez, I just pulled that up and he's always been good at that. 75th percentile in chase rate, 84th in walk percentage. So it's, I don't know, kind of interesting. He just strikes out a lot. He swings and misses, man. And I do feel like he's behind. Maybe that's something specific he's working on where it's going to come around.
Yeah.
It's a time thing. Definitely his at-bats have been better lately. He's starting to pull the trigger a little more often and hit it harder. I saw a couple things this series where a tough 2-strike pitch and he's fouling it off. At least he's doing that.
Yeah.
But you said he got the 2 hits today. The one in particular was hit pretty hard. The single, actually.
Well, even the double that he hit, like, it just kept carrying.
Mm-hmm.
He sat back on a curveball really well. It dropped down in the zone. He barreled it up. And at first I thought that who's their right fielder? Is that Walker? Either way, the right fielder was, yeah.
Yeah, today it was Walker.
I mean, it looked like he was going to make that catch, and it just kept carrying over him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are 2 good signs. And in the same sense, the one bad sign that we've touched on last week, and it just keeps continuing, is Canaan Smith-Njigba. And this could be one of those, with consistent playing time, it works itself out. But this is the problem that you have. But also at the same time, like, everybody can't have consistent plate appearances.
Right.
So you have to make the best of the time that you're out there and figure out a way to get in a groove. It's not easy. We saw that from Castro. He started to work his way out of it before he started getting all the consistent playing time. But the same thing you could say the same thing with Bay. Connor Joe has been a good example of making the best of it.
Right.
He gets put into his matchup situations and he's making the best of his opportunities. But just trying to look through here real quick. I mean, I don't have his page pulled up here. Give me a second. Okay, we've got, why is it didn't, there it is. It opened him up now. He's down to a 154 with a 258 on base. And the big thing for me is, he hasn't played enough to have all of his like StatCast stuff up. That stinks. Anyway, I do have his numbers here. I thought I did. His K percentage right now is 46.2%.
It's not going to cut it.
And an 11.5% on the walk rate, which he chased another pitch today. And usually with guys who have a patient approach, I mean, are we talking about Jack Sawinski when we say he's been patient, he's been walking, right? And you say that and you say, well, I'll have a little more time. I have more patience with a guy who is able to walk. Sawinski's walk rate right now is 12.5. His strikeout rate is 31.3. That's too much, but he is walking. He's not chasing, right? Mm-hmm. And then you look at Smith-Njigba and you're like, oh, but he's not walking and he is chasing. And he's also not hitting.
Right.
So, you start looking at those sort of things. 286 on base for Sawinski so far and hitting 200. So it's only slightly better, but you're seeing more signs of what you want to see. where Smith and Jigba, and he's not getting as much at bats. So is that playing into it? I think it certainly is.
Yeah.
Not going to pretend it's not. Smith and Jigba could still, like, this isn't a thing for him where Jack Swinski had 19 home runs last year in the major leagues. That is something that is worth it. You had 19 home runs in the show. You did it in the show.
Right.
That carries a lot of weight. I don't care 100%. What you did in AAA. If you're talking about a guy who did something at the major leagues, you've done it once, you can do it again.
Yeah.
Anything that you've done in the majors, you can repeat. You have the ability to repeat.
Yep.
And so that's what you're waiting for from him. You're just waiting for that thing to click with Smith and Jigba. And maybe, this is what I'm saying, he hasn't had the time at the majors that Sawinski's had to put together a number like that, to put together some sort of success. We get to that 40-game mark, and I know I'm the only one that says 40 games, I think. Not the only one, but that's what I've been saying, right? You get to that 40-game mark, and this is still going, yeah, maybe you make a switch. And it's Smith and Jigba, and we had the guy in front of us at the home opener say, are you guys going to talk about sending Sawinski down? Now, this is the home opener. Hey, let's have some patience.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at this saying, I don't think it's Sawinski. I think it's Smith and Jigba, because that's somebody who I think can turn that around. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're listening to this, but I don't think this is part of Smith and Jigba's game. This is off character here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Offensively, that's basically where I'm at right now. We've got some things mixing in here with Marcano being recalled. Matthias is probably going to lose a little bit of playing time because of that. Maybe a good thing.
I mean, because of that, or because he can't hit his way out of a wet paper bag? I mean, let's be serious. He's been brutal to watch at the major league level.
Right, but once again, he's had success at the major league level, something that Marcano has not done. Right? So if you're I'm telling you right now, any major league stats you have will outweigh anything you've done in the last 3 weeks in AAA every time. You know what I mean? And Matthias has had success in short stints with the Rangers, specifically last year. Those are good numbers, and Marcano has never been able to do it, no matter how good he's been doing. He gets to the majors, and it hasn't happened. Not saying it won't, but I'm saying that's when you want to talk about stuff like that. That's why he gets the call first.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, but I don't know. It'll be interesting because we have a lefty against Colorado. Very first game, we have a lefty the very last game, right? Austin Gomber's lefty too, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't want to quote on that.
All right. Either way, let's just pretend right now it is, and then later we'll find out when we talk about that. But if we have two lefties coming up, I mean, Matthias is going to play one of these games. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to get in. He might play two of them. So
yeah, he's a lefty.
Okay. So we're good there. All right, so let's get into the one thing that I am eager to get into, because we talk about a lot of things before we hit record. And I told you that we were not going to talk about this because I want to save it, because I want to hear your whole thing. Will Crow blows the save today. And we talked about how that was a tough loss, even though it just split a series on the road, which is good, or which is fine, I guess is how I'll say it. And you said, well, he shouldn't have had to.
Yeah.
So let's go. Let's talk about this, because this is something that I even tweeted out that I thought it was interesting. So go ahead. The floor is yours, man.
Well, I mean, if I'm at home and then the game is tied in the ninth inning, not every time, but I'm 100% okay with your closer when you have a specific closer like we have in Bednar to pitch that 9th inning. There's no save situation going to happen in that game. No matter what happens, you go to extras, whatever, no save situation going to happen. So I'm totally fine with throwing him in the 9th inning, and
he's your 9th inning guy.
You're betting on your offense to win you the game in the 9th. You never bet on, the 10th inning.
Yeah.
But in a tie game when you're on the road, I'm betting on the 10th inning because the only way to win that game is to score in the 10th. That being said, I don't necessarily like. I'm okay if you use your closer in the 9th, but I think with our pitching staff and the guys we had available, I would have just rather seen somebody else pitch the 9th inning. I probably wouldn't have thrown Holderman in the 8th. I probably would have held off on Holderman to see if we could score. Maybe Holderman ends up getting the day off because we do score, and then you go to Bednar. But I'm not just. Then you're gonna have to depend on Will Crow, who's never been good in pressure situations. He's got. It's just been rough. I mean, he's got a save or two, but didn't look it up. I know he got one or two last year, but when he had to step in for Bednar, it wasn't pretty. And I don't like Crow after the 7th inning in any situation.
Yeah. Well, he did fine. What was the home opener? He pitched the last 3 innings. Pitched the 7th, 8th, and 9th. He gave up 2 runs in the 9th when we had an 8-run lead or whatever it was. Not 8.
Right. But yeah, that was a very
7-run lead.
Non-stressed situation.
Right.
Multiple inning outing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't we need you to go and get these last 3 outs.
But those are the only 2 runs he's given up all year.
That's fine.
Well, to be fair, in his 3 outings.
That's fine.
3 or 4. You know what I mean?
I still don't want to put him in a pressure situation. And the dude looks like a deer in the headlights.
I didn't think he looked like a deer in the headlights today. I didn't think the look on his face certainly wasn't. You know what I mean? Like he looked fine. Because I know that look. I know we used to talk about that with Mitch Keller. He didn't look lost out there. But it's not about Will Crow for me. My thing is, you're going to have to rely on him anyway. He was either going to pitch the 9th or he was going to pitch the 10th.
I mean, you had other guys out there. I just wouldn't have used Crow.
Well, you could use Johan Ramirez?
Yeah, why not? He's on your major league staff.
That's fair, but
that's just the way I am. Like, I'm not.
Even if it's Johan Ramirez, even if it's Dowry Moretta, who got the save the night before, you're either going to rely on them to get you to extra innings or you're going to rely on them to get a save. I don't think it matters. Like,
I do.
Stay alive. Give your offense a chance. The only way to do that is to shut down that 9th inning and give yourself a chance with a runner on second to get the run you need in the 10th. And then you never know what happens if you get to the 10th. And we scored 3 runs on Saturday. That made a difference. What happens if you go to the 10th and you score 6 runs? Then you're still not going to use Bednar. And you got away with it. But you could have. What happens if you put in Crow in the 9th instead of Bednar and they just win in the 9th? Is it any different?
I think so.
You'd rather. Why? Why is that different?
Well, first off, I still wouldn't have used Crow. So let's just take his name completely out of this.
It doesn't matter.
Because if I would, this is opinionated me, if I would have been running things, somebody else would have pitched the 8th. Holderman would have been in the 9th, and then I would have had Bednar in the 10th. If we were still tied, and if we don't have the lead in the 8th inning, I don't know,
it's
man.
Tough. If you're tied, you want to stay tied.
Yeah, you're right.
You want to stay tied.
You do. But you got to use other guys.
You have 2 guys right now that you can rely on. Outside of that, you don't. Period. You don't have them. They're not there.
Well, you have 3 guys you can rely on as long as it's not the 8th inning.
But we're talking
Because
about the
Underwood's
8th
been
inning.
good. Because Underwood's been good in the 7th.
But we're talking about the 8th inning. Underwood pitched in the 7th.
Right.
So he's already pitched. My fear was they were going to leave him in. No, I think you plan, if it's a tie game, you plan on your offense scoring. And so you say Holderman's your 8th, Bednar's your 9th, and if you don't score, you still keep that. I'm not sold on you keep it. I don't have a problem with it because my reasoning for that is that you need to get out of that anyway. You are going to have to rely on Moretta or Crow or I don't even know.
Was Moretta unavailable today?
Well, he threw yesterday. He threw the day before that. I would imagine he was unavailable. He got the save yesterday. He did not throw the day before that, but he threw the 2 days before that. But he did just throw yesterday. And we've seen how balanced they're using the bullpen, and they should. If he threw the day before, they'd like to not use him. When you have Will Crow, who hadn't pitched in 6 days, right? Yeah. You have him available. He needs to pitch. You are going to rely on him to step up. You have to. If he loses you the game, then it's on him. But he's going to lose it for you in the 9th or the 10th.
No, and I agree with that. It's on him. It's not on Shelton. I'm not blaming Shelton for this. I think Shelton's done an excellent job this year. I don't know. I just don't. And I don't want to use my closer on the road unless you're in the save situation.
And I understand that because that's what we've talked about for a long time. That's always been the thing. You don't use him unless you're winning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think in this scenario, you're up against the Cardinals. You have an opportunity on the road to get a series win. I actually don't have a problem throwing him in the 9th and telling somebody else in the bullpen, I'm gonna need you to do this anyway, regardless if it's now or never. I'd rather prolong that as long as I can and give my offense an opportunity than just to lose it then.
Yeah, I don't want to sound too critical of this because like I don't have a big issue with it. It's a small issue with it.
Right.
And like when we had Moretta right there in the first game or the third game, but first game we had this situation, and I trust Moretta. You know what I mean? Like I'll trust Moretta to get the save because he was available to me. If he's not available this game, I'm going to make somebody step up in the 9th inning with the tie game rather than if we can get the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Trust somebody else to get those last 3 outs if you get the lead. That's just my opinion, and I don't blame Shelton for this.
Yeah.
Will Crow just needed to step up and do his job.
Will Crow, I will say this for Will Crow. And not to cut you off. I know that you've made that point.
Mm-hmm.
Will Crow, but I will say this. Will Crow, we were very excited about last year. About halfway through the year.
Mm-hmm.
He started to earn, maybe not even earn. He started to be put in positions that he hadn't been yet. He was being used in a way that we thought was very effective. It looks like that's the plan to use him in that way this year. And I still think it's going to be very effective. But when he was put into positions to fill in for Bednar, when they were trying to find it, first off, there was nobody there.
Right.
And he had already been overused just as Bednar was.
Mm-hmm.
I think being critical of Will Crow for what he did in the back half of last season is incredibly unfair because of that.
Yeah.
He's not shown us that he's a bad pitcher yet. He did as a starter, right? And I'm not saying he's not, because I don't believe he is a back end like great. He's the answer, right? But I think he's a major league relief pitcher.
Yeah.
Who even after this blown save to this point today has a better ERA so far than Dowry Moretta. You know what I mean? Like he's every bit as capable of getting us out of that 10th inning that Dowry Moretta is.
I just think
It just,
Moretta has more swing and miss stuff, and you already got a guy on second.
it doesn't feel that way because we remember, because we can't forget that he struggled last year in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also one of those guys where you say, okay, we got through the 8th, we got through the 9th. We've given our offense every opportunity we could. Now we're putting in Will Crow. Hey, Will, you're going 3 innings if it goes that long. Whether we score or not, Will Crow goes in the 10th inning. It's not about a save situation. It's about, okay, we're in extra innings. I need 3. Now the ball goes to Will Crow. If we take a lead, you're going to have to take us home. Like, it's up to you. I just think at some point you're going to rely on that guy. Now, you could say put him in the 9th, and then you're going to pitch until we take the lead. And then we're going to put in Bednar. You could do that. But personally, if Will Crow wasn't going to get it done, then he just wasn't going to get it done. And if he did get you 3 innings of scoreless pitching, then he would have just got the save in the 10th. It was either going to be his day or it wasn't.
I can kind of agree with that. I think setting him up, I think setting Will Crow up with a guy on second base with no outs is a tough situation for him.
It's also a tough situation for David Bednar, who would have given this up too.
It is a tough situation for Bednar, but Bednar, Moretta, Holderman, those guys have more swing and miss stuff than Will Crow. I think you're going to have to field more balls with Will Crow on the mound, and just even if he gets the 2 straight guys to get out, it still might be the run that ties the game.
Yeah, so if Bednar pitches in the 10th with a guy on second, Edman grounded out to first, guy moves up to third. Donovan got a hit that probably would have scored the run. That was the play that Marcano, it was the high chopper over Bednar's head. Marcano came in, just absolutely was never going to make that play. He got to it as quick as he could, made the throw. There was no way you were getting Donovan at first. On that ball, the run scores. Even if he gets him out at first, the run scores.
Right. Did he have to face those guys in the 10th inning? Would he have faced the same hitters that he faced in the 9th and the 10th?
No, he would have.
So then
he would have faced Arenado.
Right.
He would have faced Contreras.
Mm-hmm.
He would have faced Gorman, who was the hot hitter of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been even harder for him.
But I'm just saying, it's still different people. You can't take what he did and what the actual hits he gave up and say, well, this is what he would have done in the 10th inning.
I'm still saying this is what he did, though. So all I'm saying is, would you rather set up Will Crow with that or keep David Bednar going like he's going? I'm sorry. I want Bednar to shut it down. I'm not, like I said, I don't think it matters. That's my argument. I don't think it matters. You have to rely on Will Crow to give you an inning. Whether it's the 9th or the 10th, I don't care. He's either going to come through or he's not. And me personally, I'm okay with the fact of throwing Bednar in this situation because you're giving him a clean inning to shut it down and give your bats one more chance before you go to somebody else.
This is something I want to look at. If you give up the Manfred runner, is that an earned run?
No.
Good. Because that would be garbage.
Yeah. Which is why, Will Crow only gives up 1 run in this game. Mm-hmm. Earned run. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree. That would be garbage. So either way, my only argument in this, and I think this is a great conversation because I think there's a lot of people that are going to be thinking this same thing because they did it 2 nights in a row. Mm-hmm. And on the road, it's always been a thing that you save your closer. So I'd like to hear from everybody else what you guys think on this. If you think, A, you love it and you always want, like, because there's some guys who say, no, he's my 8th inning guy, he's my 9th inning guy. I don't care what the situation is. Unless we're blowing a team out or getting blown out, he's my ninth inning guy. Or tied or lead anyway, right? And then there's other people who say, no, it's a save situation. You know, there's a reason they created the hold statistic for the guys who go into game. Like, you should consider that, right? And I also think that if you're gonna say blown saves, and then give yourself like a percentage, they need to include holds in that blown saves thing. You get a blown save if you blow a hold, right? And so when they say saves and save opportunities, it looks like one thing, but you also could throw in all the holds, because those were all opportunities to get a blown save. Just because they weren't opportunities to get a save, that's not fair.
Right.
Anyway, so I think this is a really interesting conversation. I would like to hear what other people think. And I think there's just one way to put it. You can say ninth inning guy, you could say save situation only, or you could say it really doesn't matter. For me, I'm in that other camp. You were always going to have to get another inning from someone. You already established that when the bottom of the ninth comes up. And when you're thinking about that and you're thinking about, well, we got to get him warming up. To me, I'm just like, you know what? We're going to score in the ninth inning. Warm him up now. You know what I mean? Instead of having two guys, because then what happens is he warms up and he never comes in. And that sucks too, because then you kind of wasted, sometimes you warm up like that and you're like, well, I basically pitched. You know what I mean? Like, you know how they do that sometimes where they say, yeah, but he's been warming up twice. He can't go in now. Now he's not available because he warmed up earlier and now he's gone cold again. You can't do that again. A lot of teams will tell you that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting situation here. And they did it back-to-back days. This wasn't a one-off thing. This wasn't this was a back-to-back day thing where they decided, and whose ever idea this is, whether it's Shelton specifically or it's what's his name? Gosh, I knew I was going to forget it. Just literally had a conversation on Twitter about this too. Radley Haddad with the planning and the strategy and all that.
Oh.
So is that one of his things that he zeroed in on and told Shelton about, and Shelton saying, I think this is great data, let's go with this? Or is this, maybe just situational? Maybe like, well, we did it yesterday and it worked out, so we decided to do it today. You know what I mean? I don't know. But either way, in my opinion, like, you're going to need an inning from that guy anyway. And I don't know if this isn't the way to go. I don't know. I think that this Manfred runner throws things off.
Yeah.
And maybe this is one of the ways that they react to it. Don't get your closer in these situations that are awful. Let somebody else take the hit for that. I think that's kind of babying them. I'd rather have my best pitcher, like when you think of it that way. But at the same time, I don't know. It's really interesting to me. Really interesting.
I think not having Will Crow throw in 6 games is just unfortunate for Will Crow, but it's just a pat on the back, really, to these starters getting through 6 innings.
Yeah, because we said
eating up the innings.
That's his role.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's his role, if the starters are going good, he's going to have to get put into these types of situations. And I still think he's capable of getting out of them. The fact that he didn't do it last year, I think it's just unfair because he was already overused.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that he'll ever be good at it, but I don't think that he's proven that he's not yet, because I don't think that we've given him a fair chance. Not that I even think we need to. I think he has a place that he's good at. Okay, we're going too far in this.
Yeah.
We're going too far in this. We're getting to the point now where we're going to start repeating ourselves. So let's look forward to the next 3 days here. We start off the week finishing up our road trip in Denver. Rockies are in last place right now in the West. Probably a place to end the season. They've lost their last 5 games. They were swept by the Mariners just now, and then actually they just played the Cardinals before that in Colorado. They won the first game and lost the second 2 against the Cardinals, and then 3 against the Mariners. They've lost their 5th in a row today. Today, Monday, Rich Hill versus Kyle Freeland. Kyle Freeland has been good, so this will be a big matchup. He's been very good. He did not even give up a run in his first 2 starts, and he gave up 2 runs against St. Louis in 6 innings on Tuesday, on their way to losing that game. But he's 2-0, so they coughed it up late. And then our guy Vinny goes up against Jose Urania. That'll be interesting. Urania hasn't gotten out of the 3rd inning, has only gotten out of the 3rd inning in his 3rd start this season. He's given up 5 home runs already, 2 in each of his last 2 starts. He has a 9.90 ERA so far this year. That's either good for us or he's due. Same can be said for Austin Gomber, who we face on Wednesday. Oviedo coming off of the start that he just had. Gomber's given up 5 runs in each of his last 2 starts, and he didn't get out of the 4th inning in his last outing. So they've got some pitching woes going on right now in Colorado, some starting pitching woes. We have some starting momentum right now. Let's go get a series win here. That's the goal.
Yeah, let's see our offense actually click with runners on.
Yeah,
let's string some hits together. That seems to be something that we're not struggling with, but that's the one little hiccup we've had.
Well, it's a struggle with. It's one of those things, like if you're going to be a good team, you've got to start hitting with runners in scoring position. And I think that we're playing good baseball, but the one thing that we're still kind of missing is that's been a consistent thing all year, is runners in scoring position. They're not faring well. Even today, 1 for 10. Just looking at that, you know what I mean? Like you can look at that stat every single day, except for Saturday, for whatever reason. Why? Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Runners in scoring position, 2 for 7. We're just going to go through these games here. Runners in scoring position, 1 for 7 and 1 for 10. That's the 4 games there.
Yeah.
Now, it's harder to hit with runners in scoring position. Obviously, pitchers still have the upper hand here. I mean, you look at the Cardinals with runners in scoring position, those numbers aren't going to be great either right now.
Right.
Cardinals aren't playing great baseball. But anyway, it should be a series win here. I realistically think if you win the first game, your plan has to be to sweep this series.
Yeah.
I don't care what I think the Pirates are made of. I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here saying like, yeah, we're definitely going to the playoffs. I'm not saying we're going to the playoffs.
Right.
But right now, when you're playing good baseball, in your head, you start to think, if we're going to be a good team, these are series that you got to kind of think about sweeping.
Yeah, and even there's just the series win. This is a team that you should go in and you should be able to win the series. Those are the types of series that in the past we've always struggled with. Like, we'll play good again, we sweep the Dodgers on the road, but then we lose to a team that we definitely shouldn't lose to.
Yeah,
and it's just like, that's the frustrating part about this team, and this is the chance. This is our chance to start doing that. We should be able to beat this team. Let's go beat them. That's
right. Let's hope that the next time we talk to you guys, we're in a good mood.
Yeah.
And that happened. All right, that's all we got for tonight, guys. Have a great 3 days. We'll talk to you, or 4 days, I guess, because we won't release till Friday. But another weird series where we're going to be either recording during a game or whatever. So,
yeah.
All right, let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.